This show is intended to entertain, educate, inspire, and support you on your personal journey. I am not a medical doctor and do not offer any professional health or medical advice. While the guest on this show is a health professional, each person is different, and the advice shared in this show is general in nature and should not substitute for you seeking guidance for your specific situation from a qualified health professional of your choosing. This is How Do I Do This? The show for anyone asking, is it just me or is this a lot? Even before the world shut down, I had this quiet question in the back of my mind. What if I could feel better? It wasn't a breakdown moment. It was more like a buildup. The heaviness of being a professional, the weight of constantly managing, the mom ticker tape in my brain, being a mom, a daughter, a friend, the way my old coping skills weren't just soothing me anymore. And then my husband almost died from COVID on lockdown with a preschooler. And suddenly that question wasn't a whisper anymore. It was a 5-star alarm. Hi, I'm Ryan, and this is How Do I Do This? The podcast where we pour some tea, pull up a chair, and talk about what it means to rebuild when life knocks the wind out of you and how to get just a little bit better each day, knowing that your best can and should look different from day to day. Today, we're talking about mental health, and more specifically, how therapy can support us during grief, but also how to find the right kind of help and what to do if it's not helping at all. I know therapy isn't for everyone, or at least not everyone thinks it is. It can feel intimidating, expensive, or like you're paying someone to say, so how does that make you feel? But today, we're gonna break that all down. My mom was certainly not a traditional fan of therapy. She thought if God, the King James Bible, and prayer could not fix it, then she should not worry about it. And while I love the idea about that, I have to respectfully disagree that most of us cannot function like that. So today, joining me at the table is someone I trust to help us unravel the messy middle between our ears. She's a double board certified psychiatrist who's seen what therapy can and can't do for people walking through loss, anxiety, burnout, and trauma. My guest today is Dr. Toral Fadia. As I mentioned, she's double board certified in general adult psychiatry and child adolescent psychiatry. She has 25 years of clinical experience and has been practicing in outpatient psychiatry since relocating to Atlanta in 2008. It's her passion and privilege to help patients recover and grow. So if you're new here, you know, every guest episode starts with one of my favorite rituals, having tea in my grandma Mabel's teacups, because you can't have a real soul conversation without something warm to sip on. So Dr. Fadia, what did you choose?
I chose elderberry and lemon, and it is so yummy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I chose chai because there was a decaf version. It's in the afternoon. I need to get good sleep, as we'll talk about. Sleep is important. Mm-hmm. So let's jump in. So my decision to start therapy ended up saving more than my sanity at the time during COVID. It really gave me language and tools, especially since my mom has passed. So Dr. Fadia, what are some signs that someone might benefit from therapy, especially during grief? What could they tap into and say, I could feel better? What would raise the alarm for them?
I think first I want to say that grief is different in every individual, and we tend to pathologize it, or pathologize any negative feelings, that they're just bad and need to be pushed away, and that doesn't serve us. Mm-hmm. We actually have to go through it. And so some things that one may think, you know, could be a sign that they need therapy if they're grieving is, you mentioned sleep, mm-hmm. changes in sleep that don't resolve, feeling more keyed up. They could feel more irritable or anxious. Grief isn't always sad and weepy. Mm-hmm. Just inability to connect with their loved ones, being more isolated, and just having trouble getting through their day, functioning, whether that's in the context of relationships or at work. So those are some things to look for. Or you could have none of those symptoms and just need a place
Oh,
to...
really?
Yeah. You can just need a place to stop and sit and have someone bear witness to what life-changing experience you just had, without having to worry about the other person also going through the same loss, or you having to reciprocate, which is the way we often feel if we're talking to a loved one.
I think that's so helpful what you mentioned, because I have found in my process that I don't want to wear out my friends, even though I know they love me dearly.
Yeah.
But then also specifically my dad too, because he has his own version of grief and his own relationship with my mom. And so it's been so comforting to have a place that I can go to where I don't have to also simultaneously hold his feelings too at the same time.
That's it. That's huge. You can really not filter when you're in therapy. You can let it all out without having, you know, your job is to really not be concerned with how the therapist is experiencing your feelings. They're there to contain and hold and support.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we go too far, there are a lot of things out there. I know when I started my journey and I went to Dr. Google, full disclosure, I mean, just like a lot of people Google the law, to try to figure out, okay, who do I go see? What do I get? Who is the best fit to help me? And in the time, I was in the middle of an emotional crisis. My husband had almost passed from COVID. And so I really was doing the best I could, but it would have been helpful to say, this is a good framework. So could you explain to people who are listening the difference between a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor? There's all these letters connected behind everybody. And I am a smart woman, but I do not understand any of them. I know you are a doctor and you can prescribe medicine. And I now have learned the different levels of therapy, but a lot of people listening might not know. So what is it? Where's a good place to start?
Great question. It's like alphabet soup. I had to learn it at my current practice because I was familiar with MD, PhD, but I've had to learn there's also PsyD. So PhDs and PsyDs have doctorates in psychology, and they, the PsyD type of psychology doctorate, they are more likely to do the testing, the psychological testing, but they also do therapy. And so a PhD and PsyD similarly will do clinical work, therapy, talk therapy, and they have a doctorate level of education.
But do they all do that, or is there, or can they choose?
Meaning, do they?
If they have the PsyD, the doctorate, do they all do talk therapy too, or is it more how they?
They can choose. Some PsyDs will just fill up their practice with the testing.
Got it.
They can also have specific niches as far as age groups.
Okay.
And this goes for the counselors too. And there's LCSWs and LPCs. LPC stands for Licensed Professional Counselor. I had to think about it. They have an undergrad and master's degrees in psychology.
Okay.
And then after getting their master's, they'll do a 3-year supervised clinical work internship, and they have to take an exam to be fully licensed.
Got it.
So it's a lot of training. And then an LCSW has the same track with the bachelor's, master's, 3 years supervised training, and then an exam that has to be passed to be fully licensed. But their bachelor's and master's degrees are in social work.
Got it.
Both are very clinical and can really get in there with you and do good therapy. It's very therapist specific, you know, and that's the challenge, is finding the right person, not the right letters.
Right. And you have the double board psychiatry, and so explain what that next level is. And obviously you're a doctor.
Right. So my training is anyone doing adult psychiatry will have done, you know, their undergrad degree, which could be in anything, and then 4 years of med school and 4 years of general psychiatry residency
Okay.
to specialize in psychiatry. So then they can stop there. I was foolish enough to not stop there, and I
Smart
did
enough.
two additional years of what's called subspecialty or fellowship training in adult and child psychiatry. Other people after their general psych can do geriatric psych or addiction. Other specialties include forensic psychiatry. They'll see folks that are criminal or divorce-related kind of stuff. And other specialties include, there's one I was consultation liaison, psychosomatic psychiatry. So they're really good at that interface of medicine and psychiatry. Because it's all in the same shell,
Right.
the mind and the body.
Yeah.
So, we can only segment the body so much. So, but that's what I do. I specialize in child and adolescent and thought I would be seeing a bunch of kids, and fell in love with the adult psych job that I'm doing. But everybody was once a child. So it can still inform a lot of my work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful. So if I understand correctly, with psychiatrists, not unlike what I do with the law, I chose to focus on copyright and trademark and entertainment law versus being a divorce attorney or something. So you can choose that path. Okay, that makes sense. With Instagram and TikTok and everything out there, you talking brought up the question, what would be some red flags of I don't even know if this is a thing, I'm making it up, but like TikTok therapy or Instagram therapy, or somebody who's an influencer who is putting out language that feels like it could be helpful, but like, what would be some red flags of this? You probably don't want to send your money to this person to help you with your psychological needs.
Do they monetize that? Do they?
Some do, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
This is new to me. I think that if you don't know their credentials, I'm always wary, whether I'm watching the news or reading an article or listening to getting my information through social media. It's just so important to know what the credentials are, what gives them the authority to give us professional advice that's going to really guide how we navigate life.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be very wary. And then it's also impersonal. It's not the same connection that you're going to have with a therapist who you see individually if you're just getting this information that's for the general public through TikTok or Insta. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, when you're going through a big life change, find somebody who has the goodies to back it up, basically, has the education, has the training, and
some experience.
Experience. Yeah. I think when I came to this, to the degree this is helpful to anybody listening or watching, I had sort of a main frame of who I thought my person would be helpful. I wanted a female. I wanted somebody who was a mother. And I wanted somebody who was a little bit older than me. So it was a little head on the mom game. And so I think going in and having some loose parameters probably helped me get matched with a good person right away.
I agree. It's good to think about gender, stage of life. I agree. I think it would feel, with everything you disclosed that you were going through, it would have been not so great of a fit if you had someone fresh out of school in their mid-20s who couldn't relate.
Yes, which might have amazing skills and will grow into being an amazing professional, but for where I was, not a good fit.
Not a good fit. And so much, it's very so much work is not going to be able to be done in therapy if there's not that trust from the patient. And some of that is, being able to connect, feeling like you can relate to. And then, of course, you give it a couple of sessions and see if that's able to develop. I don't think any healthy, psychologically well person is going to instantly trust anybody.
Yeah.
But it's going to go a long way if you feel like you have some things in common, that you see someone that you feel a little bit reflected back in.
Right.
That's really a big part of it.
Yeah. So somebody just starting out, they are perhaps interviewing psychiatrists or therapists. What are some good questions that you think they could ask to try to narrow down? I think anytime you're trying, whether it's physical, trying to find a dentist, I mean, it's a lot because there's a lot of information out there, and it's hard to find the right professional, even finding the right attorney. I mean, not all attorneys are not created equal, right? And so what are some good questions that if you were looking for somebody to help you with your mental health that you would ask? And knowing your questions might be a little different because you have the education background, but just some surface things.
Yeah. Well, first I would say, you mentioned Dr. Google.
Yeah.
Right. I would say if you're going to start, because we all start by finding people online first. Psychology Today has a great search engine where you can kind of filter the degree. We talked about the degree, the gender, the type of therapy, whether it's grief or what your issues are. Anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, a lot of different, those broad categories are there. So you can really filter. You can even hone in on your zip code if you don't want to drive far.
Yeah.
Atlanta traffic.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. And then you may get a list of folks and call. A lot of them will offer a free consultation just to chat a little bit. I think definitely trust your gut. I can't emphasize enough, especially women have really strong intuitions, and through a lot of life experiences that start really young, we begin to make decisions out of fear and conditioning rather than what we know. So trust your gut. I'm going to say it probably a few more times through this interview. If it feels right, put a little star by that person. Ask them, what their experience is specifically with the issue that you're having. See how open they are to answering these questions. And I think really knowing their experience, their education background, if they have any particular types of therapy that they do, because anxiety, for example, it could be that they focus more on the mindfulness-based type of therapies, or there can be cognitive CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. You can ask what the differences are. You can look those things up. It's also,
and that's Psychology Today.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's a really good search engine and place to neutral source of information where you can start your search for a therapist. If there's a lot of dysregulation of your mood, like you're really irritable, I mean, we're all a little irritable, or if it's severe irritability, and then you're really calm, like a lot of moodiness, there's types of specific therapy that's good for that. DBT is good.
So you're saying people don't have to sit around and be angry mommy all the time?
No, please don't. It's so funny. For years, I've said there needs to be specific group therapy for moms.
Yes.
Called, like mommy guilt, because when you're angry all the time, and then when you've calmed down, there's so much guilt on the back end, but I've said the group should just be for women who work full time, because the guilt is like 10 times more for us.
Yeah. It's a
how do you juggle everything?
Yeah, it's a lot of juggling.
You never feel like you're able to do 100% at home or 100% at work, and
it's why I have decided a few years ago that there's no such thing as balance. So I aim for a blend.
I love that. I'm going to use that.
some days it blends more work, some days it blends more mom, some days it blends, especially since I'm new in this living my life without my mom. Some days it blends more. I need to take care of Ryan. I'm going to do some low end legal work. Not that all the legal work isn't important, but some stuff that's not deeper thinking because I'm dealing with a lot of heavy stuff and a lot of heavy feelings. And so I try to every week look at my week as a whole and say, did I have a good blend? Knowing that can change from day to day.
I think that's great. What I hear in that is that you are in tune, because
some days I don't always get it right.
How will you know, okay, this is a day that I need to do this stuff that doesn't require such deep thinking. Mm-hmm. It requires you checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
And being connected with that in order to know the right blend for that day. Yeah. I like that. I'm going to use blend, because balance is like...
That's bullshit.
It's bullshit. It's unattainable.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it. I like,
Well, and I think in our generation, we grew up with this idea of, women can have it all. And yes, we can, but not all at the same time, please.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I agree. I mean, I think we need to change that expectation.
Yes. You cannot get the kids to all their events, work all day, work out, eat well, and see your therapist, and have friend connect. You can't do all that in one day.
Or cook.
Oh,
my Lord.
No. Thank God for Uber Eats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that you saying that is so important for women to hear, because a lot of the guilt is expectation we put on ourselves.
Oh, 100%.
And so if we can offer grace rather than expectation, we're going to show up better.
Well, and one thing that I have learned with my mental health is I am my own worst critic, type AA+ here. And I look at my mom friends, and I'm so impressed by all they do, whether they have no kids, 1 kid, 2 kids. I have some friends who have 4+ children. I really don't understand that.
Wow.
And they're all doing amazing.
Yeah.
And there is not one thing I would critique them about. And so why am I so hard on myself?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question. And it's so, I will often, when I'm treating a mom, and they are often their worst critics, I try to pull them out of their heads and, what would you offer your child? What would you want your child to do in this situation? I have a very good friend who practices geriatric psychiatry out in LA, and I encouraged her to see an acupuncturist out there. And then she texted me and was like, are these prices okay? And I was like, yes. And she was like, I'm just not sure. I'm like, what would you do if it was Jake or Julian? Those are her sons' names. And she immediately was like, you're right. It's funny when we take ourselves out of the equation, like you do for your friends, Yeah.
So we found somebody, we think they're great. We've had some sessions with them, but then all of a sudden things start feeling a little off. Is it common for people to break up with therapists or psychiatrists?
Of course.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, so sort of walk us through what are some signs that it's not as helpful for you, that maybe there's another person that would be a better fit? That feels intimidating, kind of starting over, right? So what are some signs, and then what would be the steps somebody would take?
Okay. Well, first I'll say it's not starting over.
Okay.
It feels like it because you will start a different relationship with a new therapist.
Okay.
I like to say whatever you learned or gained from that initial therapeutic, because it started out good, those, what you learned in therapy, that you're taking with you. It doesn't stay with that therapist. So
I love that idea.
You're building on that. So you're not starting over. And I would certainly, I think we talked about trust earlier. It shouldn't take more than, I say, 3 sessions, 3 hours with somebody, sometimes a little more if the first one's longer, to be able to settle in and feel like, okay, I can trust, and there's some rapport with this person. If you're still feeling uncomfortable by the fourth, fifth session, don't just keep dragging it on. And a well-trained therapist or psychiatrist or counselor shouldn't take it personally. No one's a good fit for everybody, whether it's a friend or God knows a spouse.
Yeah.
So, it has to be a good fit. And, the way to proceed is just, it's really good to not just ghost them and not show up. I think
just like with any relationship,
Yeah.
you want closure.
Yep. You can do that over the phone if you are early in. If it happens a little later in therapy, which can happen, right? It can stagnate. You can try having a conversation with the therapist and just say, I feel like we're not making a lot of progress lately. It feels like, I don't have so much to talk about. You can speak about whatever your specific concern is, give it feel if they're responsive to that. They should not be defensive. And if they're able to shift and adjust, it's your therapy. And there should be certain therapeutic goals that you may have in mind that need to be reassessed. Maybe you've met certain goals and things are just sort of floundering or stagnant. And you should feel very comfortable of owning that therapeutic process by bringing it up in a trusting environment. And then if things still don't shift, you can have a termination session. Yeah.
And so that's what you would say. You would say, I don't think I'm going to book another session. Like, what's the language you would give somebody? Because being an attorney, I love to have language to give people. So what could a nugget a listener could walk away with?
You can as simple as, I feel like I need a break from therapy right now.
I love that. Simple, kind, clear, direct.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I think. I really thank you for our time together, and I feel like I need a break from therapy for a while.
Love it.
So you've closed it.
Love it. Okay.
Gratitude. Yeah.
So let's shift to specifically grief. Do you recommend therapy for everyone who has had a major grief event? And, in our first episode, I talked about how we're talking about the whole grief buffet, not just a death, but divorce, any big life change, career loss, becoming an empty nester. So even if you weren't a psychiatrist, and I know that would be hard to imagine, but do you think everybody can benefit from therapy?
I used to say yes.
Okay.
And now I've seen enough to where not everyone is ripe for the process.
Oh, that's so good.
Not everyone's ready.
Because you have to bring your whole self. And if you're not ready, then it's a waste of time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Not a therapeutic candidate. Not open, not ready to be vulnerable. And if that's somebody going through grief, we're not going to make progress if they're not ready to shed their skin and just shed those layers. It's hard work. And sometimes if you push too much, it can be a little traumatizing if they're not ready. And so we have to kind of honor where they're at. What I do think everybody going through grief would benefit from is an opportunity to be with oneself in order to feel. And that may be in the context of therapy. It might be solitude, spending time in nature. I feel like we're very disconnected from nature. Just spending time without so much stimulation so that you can kind of experience your thoughts, your emotions, and let them settle. That doesn't have to be in therapy. Sometimes talking just feels like so much work in the acute grief process, the initial part.
I know that was true for me.
Yeah.
I had a lot of really good friends reach out, text, call, and it just felt like too much to even respond to a text some days.
Yeah.
And that is not who I am. And when I got into a space, those good girlfriends actually sent them all a group text just to handle them all at one time, just to say, I'm putting y'all on a group text, but I'm being honest. I've read and received everyone, and I love everyone, but I am just not in a place to text back, and please honor that. And thankfully, I have such good girlfriends, and they did. Yeah. And some of them said, "You won't respond, but I'm still gonna check in, bitch," and that was fine too, which I love.
That's love.
Yes, it's love, and so I love that. Just honoring where you are, and if quiet's what you need, that could be better than seeking out a therapist.
Definitely, if it feels like a relief to go to therapy, go.
Yeah.
If it feels like I don't have any energy left to make one more appointment and it feels like so much work, wait. Honor how it feels. Like, notice, or do you feel completely depleted? Then how can you conserve your energy? And when you have a little bit of energy, if you're ready to talk, then therapy's perfect. If you start having a little energy and rather than talk, you want to go out with a couple of girlfriends and just laugh or just cry and be with loved ones, that can be very therapeutic to reconnect.
So what I'm hearing is that how you use the word therapy can look like seeing a professional, but doesn't always have to be.
No.
I love that.
It doesn't.
So what would you say to someone who thinks therapy is a waste of time and just talking to a stranger? And I know there's a lot of sometimes generational, I shared when we started the episode, my mom saying that if prayer, King James, and God couldn't get her through it, she didn't need to worry about it. So how do you sort of address those people who have just completely dismissed the idea?
I would go back to what we were talking about earlier, that it's not either or. There are a lot of folks who are very involved in their religion who feel like that if that faith is strong enough, there isn't a need for professional therapy. And it's different, and it's not either or. They can complement each other beautifully.
They don't have to exist separately.
No. And we also, we touched on how different it is than talking to family or friends, that you don't have to carry the weight of how is my suffering going to cause this person to suffer, and that they're going to feel the need to take care of me. You can, it's a very different type of relationship. Yeah. So I emphasize that to skeptics, that it's really different, and that usually resonates the way it did with you. Yeah. Because when you talk to your dad or someone else who's experiencing the loss of your mom, you do lovingly want to consider how your feelings are gonna, maybe they might be having a good day and now they're gonna remember the loss, and it's gonna shift the way their day goes. So it's very different.
Yeah.
And a lot of, even on that search engine I was telling you about, you can find therapists that have a spirituality or a religious focus.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, a Christian counselor. You do want to look at the credentials. It's nice when they have like the LPC, LCSW, as well as that aspect. You want
to have some letters behind their name.
Right.
Okay.
Some of them have that master's in divinity also.
Yeah.
And that they can help really bridge the two beautifully. I love if my patients have that belief. Not if they're not a believer, then we're going to go a different route. But if they are, it can really inform the therapy in a beautiful way. It's not a complete separation. I think tapping into one's belief system while working with them in therapy, whether it's, before you go to sleep, instead of looking at Insta, why don't you pick a favorite Bible verse that you read a few times so your mind is focused on that as you drift off to sleep, and you're going to get a deeper rest.
Yeah.
And have you gone to church lately? Because I know that's an important part. And if they haven't, I'm just going to gently nudge, because it's certainly not either or.
Yeah. Because, I believe that God made, or whatever your belief system is, whether you refer to God as a male or female or universe or spirit, God gave you a great skill set and a great brain to be able to help people, but he also gave Taylor Swift the ability to write amazing lyrics that can feel healing too. If I'm in my car screaming to those,
Yes.
and like both things can be true.
Absolutely.
All right, good. So before I let you go, we end every episode with something special. I call it the Fabulous Five. It's my version of a lightning round where we spill tea with humor and a little Southern soul.
Uh-oh.
Same 5 questions, every guess.
Okay.
So, the first, what's a life lesson your mom, grandma, or somebody wise told you that you still carry with you and you reflect on every day or most days?
Ooh. It's very simple, but my mom, oh God, there's so many. She always said that, if there's a will, there's a way. And there's nothing I can't achieve or do if I put my mind to it. She just infused this strong belief and confidence in, this little brown girl growing up in Jacksonville, Florida, that there's nothing anyone out there can do that you can't do. She's like, if there's a will, there's a way. I heard that almost every day.
Your mom and my mom would have been such good friends, because my mom said the same thing to me.
Oh.
This little fair-skinned girl in South Alabama.
Yeah.
So in your dark moments when life has gotten really, really loud for you, what's something that's helped you hold on besides caffeine or crying in the car? I mean, both of those are great, but...
Oh, I'm thinking of so many things. That's such an important question. In my really, darkest alone moments, when I'm just really forlorn, a little like despairing, I just imagine, this is very personal, but I imagine being held by, my spirituality is very, very important to me. And in a lot of Buddhist or Hindu philosophy and religion, there are male and female aspects of the same God. So I'll imagine being held in the lap of Divine Mother.
I love that. That's so comforting.
Yeah, just being held, because who doesn't want to just be held, and remembering that I'm always being held.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that, especially because a few weeks ago I woke up in the night and I really felt like my mom was sitting there rubbing my head.
Oh.
And it was a night I had gone to bed very sad.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit, if you've seen Back to the Future, and Marty McFly wakes up. We're talking about mental health and Back to the Future.
Hey.
And he wakes up and he's like, Mom, I had this terrible dream. It was 1950. And he turns on the light and his mom from 19. It was very much that. But I woke up and I felt so comforted.
That's reminding me of, I have a 17-year-old boy who, we don't get to snuggle anymore. Yeah. So enjoy it while you can. But he wants his cup of coffee from his mom every morning, and he'll yell through his room for the coffee. And I bring it, and I'll sit by the side of his bed, and I like to cup it with my hands and make my hands nice and warm, and I'll just put them on his face and his forehead. And he lets me. He doesn't like.
Yeah.
And I have beautiful memories of what you imagined your mom doing. There's something really intimate about that.
So what's the most sacred or sentimental thing on your nightstand or in your home right now? It doesn't have to be on your nightstand, but.
Wow. I have a little altar where I have a work desk by a window, and I have a little altar with, I don't know if you've seen there's a Hindu yogic depiction of Shiva dancing in the circle of fire. So I have that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of big. It's like this. And then right in front of that is a little statue of Ganesh, who is the remover of obstacles. And Shiva represents the destruction of ignorance. And so I have those two on my desk with flowers. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And then there's also like a little image of Tara, the green Tara, which is what my daughter is named after.
Oh, I love that.
So these like Divine Mother and the, just some things that speak to my spirituality and remind me of a good friend of mine. You correct me if I'm wrong. She said that the cross, the Christian cross, that the vertical line is longer so that we remember that while we're here living this material existence, the longer line is vertical because we want to always make that the priority and not forget our connection with God.
Yeah.
And so we have to have those reminders.
Yeah. That's good. So if you could ask God, or however you refer to God, one unfiltered question and actually get an answer, what do you think you would ask?
Oh, I have so many. I've even joked. I'm like, I can't wait. One day I'm going to be like sitting on top of a cloud with my legs dangling off the side.
Same. I'm going to be right there beside you.
I'm going to be we're going to be in God's face saying, wait, but what about this? What about this? I mean, I think that the first thing that comes to mind is I struggle to understand why there's so much, I would say, untimely death and suffering. What are we missing? Like, what is the learning here? Why? It's, kids, just people or kids or, like that, who can't advocate for themselves. I struggle with that. So I just shelf it, knowing I'm not intended to understand that. Our brains are not evolved fully to be able to grasp why, and so I'm shelving it until I get to meet God and ask.
I think we have to. Otherwise, I mean, damn, we could just stay in the bed all day and be like, I don't know what good I'm doing.
Yeah, I think we have to accept that we always want to know why and understand everything and make sense of everything, and all of the neurological data coming in, trying to make it make sense. And there's just stuff that we're not wired or capable of grasping.
And I think for me, I struggle to understand the why, because I think I can move past the feelings a little quicker if I can understand. And so I think that's, at least for me, is possibly a coping device, which can be helpful, but also I can get, you can spiral. I can spiral and be on Google at 3 a.m. looking up, whatever. All right. So last question. This one's a little spicy.
Okay.
What's your ride or die swear word? The one that says, I'm done, I'm tired, and don't test me.
Oh, it's fuck. Is there a more satisfying?
No, there is not.
Word?
There is not.
It could be like in the most excited, like this is fucking awesome. Or fuck.
Yeah.
And that comes out, and there's not another word that's as satisfying to just,
It's true.
It has that oomph. I'll be surprised if your other guests come up with a better word. There's no
telling with some of them.
See.
There's no telling. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being part of this.
Thank you for having me.
I love that your recognition that therapy doesn't have to look like the same thing for your neighbor, and it can be a lot of different things, and really trusting your intuition.
Yes.
I think that's such an important message for people to hear, because when we watch traditional news organizations, I think we all think, or shows on television, that it looks like lying on a couch, talking to somebody in a white coat, and it can look like that, but it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
That's a good message. I'm reminded today with our conversation that I'm thankful for pre-grief lawyer Barbie Ryan. That's what I'm calling her.
Aww.
That she was brave enough to say, "Excuse me, I think we can feel better."
I love that. And I'm proud of her too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's it for today. You can ache for who you were before it all changed and still become someone new. Grief and growth sit at the table passing notes when we're not looking. Both things can be true. This tea, this time, this space is part of your healing, and it's part of mine too. You're right where you need to be. You're not broken, you're just brewing. Follow along on Instagram at How Do I Do This Pod and on YouTube at How Do I Do This Pod. DM me on Instagram and tell me what kind of grief you're holding right now. Seriously, I'll read every one and will probably be the person to respond back. Tell me what you have tried that you think might help me. I'm open to trying anything that's not illegal. Your story might find its way into one of our future episodes.